Servus and hello! Here is Bianca Kalinga from Austria. Some time ago I did my TOEFL exam in Vienna. Actually I did it twice, but well, there were some years in between. Anyways, I've already done this video but only in German, so I thought maybe it would also be interesting to people from other countries. So in this video I talk a little bit about the procedure in the TOEFL Testcenter and things to take with you as well as things to be aware of. So keep watching. What time should you actually arrive? I guess it depends. So I would say be there at least half an hour earlier. I would say maybe it's better to be there an hour earlier. But also, however, it might depend as well on your country. So I heard in some countries, all the people start doing the test at once. So all the people go in and they start all together. Whereas, for instance, in Austria, it was the case that there was always a time delay between. So they would let one person in and after a couple of minutes, the next ones. Like people started at different times. Anyways, before you can actually start your exam, you have to fill out a form. With this form, you go into a separate room, at least in Vienna, and there they take a picture of you and then you read the text that is on the form. And I think this is also kind of voice sample, so they know in a way that your voice is actually yours, right? And I don't know, the picture is kind of interesting. I guess you could see the fear in my face on my pictures. Anyways, oh yeah, what is really important is also that you take your ID with you, and you also need to show them at the room where to take the picture and you read the text and everything. So don't forget that, otherwise you might be screwed. Oh, before you go to the exam room, take a sip, do drink a lot, because when you go into the exam room, there is nothing to drink for you next to the computer. And especially the first section, writing and listening, takes quite a while. So be sure not to get dehydrated. In the exam room, like in Vienna, they had a kind of box where you could drop off all your belongings. Yeah, maybe make sure that your phone is not on loud or something. I guess it's common sense anyways. Once you get to the computers, you will also find empty paper and a pencil with some kind of rubber eraser thing on top. The paper is there to take notes. In case your pencil breaks, just raise your hand, and there's always a person that monitors everything, so they can actually help you. Also, what you should keep in mind is the computer keyboard. So in Vienna it was an American keyboard, so I would assume it's probably the same in any other countries. First, for writing, it was a little bit troublesome because I wasn't used to it, but yeah, it still works out. So, by the way, time is kind of like a scarce entity. You can manage it to do everything in time, but you can't be slow either. The reading was probably the most stressful part for me, where I had to hustle and hurry the most. Oftentimes, I realized that I was actually looking at the stopwatch at the top right corner, I think, instead of actually concentrating on my text. But I was just calculating how many minutes I would still have left. And by the way, that again slowed me down because I should have used it to concentrate. I know that you could also hide the stopwatch, so maybe that's a possibility, or just don't look all the time at it. I guess that's the better advice, but yeah, I did it. Also, what is important for me was the first part is the reading, and first of all, you get the entire text, right, of one reading. And what I always tend to do was I scrolled down all the way until there was this kind of next button, and that I pushed it without even actually reading through the whole text. I know that some people like to actually scan through it to get an idea what the whole text is about. However, I didn't like it as much because I realized that I'm wasting too much time on that. So I just went straight to the first paragraph and the questions from the first paragraph. What I do like about the TOEFL exam is that in case you need it, you always have still access to the entire text. However, with the listening, this was, for instance, not the case. You would hear the listening, you would get your questions, and then you answer. but there was no way to actually go back from what I remember. You constantly have your headphones on your head, and also the mic is here, but the mic you only need for the speaking, and you also have to keep like a voice sample that should tell whether you have adjusted your microphone correctly. Make sure that you didn't move it before the speaking again or something like that. For the writing part, there's like one section where you actually need to read the text, and it was good for me to know that I could go back to the text, which helped me because otherwise if you can't go back to the text for the writing again, you really need to take a ton of notes in advance. Oh no, there is one thing I totally forgot to mention. So when in the test center they let people in with time delay, be aware that it can actually happen that you are still at the listening part, or you try to concentrate, or any other part, and your neighbor is already the speaking part, and despite earphones you can still hear every word. So that can be distracting and it's really hard to concentrate, but somehow you need to manage, right? And here again, like for me, the four most important things to remember out of this is don't arrive too late. You don't want to do that. You don't want to get in a hurry and be stressed or not be able to take the test at all. Don't forget to take your ID with you. Drink enough before you start. Also, try to concentrate and not to waste too much time on like stopwatches like I did. Please let me know in the comments down below in which country you are doing the TOEFL exam, and if you've done it already, do you have any additional tips for us in the test center? How has it been in your country? Please give me a thumbs up if the video was helpful. If not, well, not. It would also be nice if you subscribe, and also if you have any questions about going to the United States. I've done an exchange twice, so maybe I can help. Thanks so much for watching. See you. Right. However, I'm working on